Some of you will be able to read this, I'm not even going to try, but Spanish decree of the High Priest of the reconvened Sanhedrin in Constantinople, 1492, addressed to those who were being evicted from Spain once more for ritual sacrifice of children and usury. Now, the text of the letter is as follows: Beloved brethren in Moses, we have received your letter in which you tell us of the anxieties and misfortunes which you are enduring. We are pierced by as great pain to hear it as yourselves. The advice of the grand satraps and rabbis is the following. As for what you say that the King of Spain obliges you to become Christians, do it, since you cannot do otherwise. Now, here, at this period of time, Christians were Roman Catholic. That was it. There were no Protestants, no other. The Roman Catholic Church was it. They were Christians. No born-again Christian, doesn't qualify. As for what you say about the command to despoil you of your property, make your sons merchants that they may despoil little by little the Christians of theirs. As for what you say about making attempts on your lives, make your sons doctors and apothecaries, that means a pharmacist, that they may take away Christians' lives. And as for what you say of their destroying your synagogues, make your sons canons and clerics in order that they may destroy their churches. As for the many other vexations you complain of, arrange that your sons become advocates and lawyers, and see that they always mix in affairs of state, that by putting Christians under your yoke you may dominate the world and be avenged on them. Do not swerve from this order that we give you, because you will find by experience that, humiliated as you are, you will reach the actuality of power. Is this not the case now throughout the world, and especially America? It's not too difficult to find that the mentor of Obama and Hillary Clinton was the communist, which means he was a Jew, Saul Alinsky. Everything that they have implemented throughout their regime, their communist regime, has been under the tutelage of Saul Alinsky, a Jew. All the current unrest, the current brainwashing, really the separating into the left as the goats, you've been suckered. So the state ignores the reality of the Jews' decree, as they have infiltrated and control every facet of society, down to dominating the churches with Moses and the false apostle Paul, he one of them a Jew. The deep state does not want a successful California under President Trump. They want a communist state controlled by the Jews. A man-made drought could not destroy California, since now rains are filling dams and revitalizing the land, and some are saying that this is orchestrated geoengineering and harp together. There's rumour that the land has been bought and they're planning to farm fish in certain areas that are dry prior to all of this weather that's been. So here we go, the Illuminati. You can read there. The banking and money groups, secret societies groups, at the very top there. Freemasonry, Skull and Bones, the Grand Orient Lodge, Grand Alpina Lodge, the Knights Templar, Order of the Garter, Priory de Sion, and the Rosicrucians. Then you can see your political groups, the intelligence groups, which is an oxymoron. CIA, KGB, FBI, British intelligence, and that means Australian intelligence, mafia, organised crime, drug cartels, Interpol, the Communist Party. Then you've got your religious groups, the World Council of Churches, National Council of Churches, World Parliament of Religions, etc., all the way down to the Temple of Understanding. Education groups beginning with UNESCO. Read through those right down to media establishment. Under the political group you will see there, third from the bottom, Bohemian Grove, that we've just talked about and mentioned in the previous slide.
All president?
Yes, Bohemians, all presidents have been there, including Ronald Reagan. Queen Elizabeth was there in 1982. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the former governor of California, who many are laying the blame for what's been going on in California with the water theft and the condition of infrastructure left in ruins. So we say again, is it not the case that the state ignores the reality of the Jews' decree because they have infiltrated and they do control every facet of society, right on down to dominating all of the churches out there with Moses and the false apostle Paul. Paul was a devil. He did not belong to Jesus at all. As a matter of fact, as Jesus, he warned us all that one would come after me who would teach things that I didn't teach and pervert the things that I did teach. That was Paul 15 years later after the Advent. He was self-appointed. So then you've got the Hollywood, the satanic capital, making movies showing what they intend to do. So with this Oroville Dam spillway collapse and the overflow and the geoengineering of the weather that has been rampant for years, whether it be drought or now these rains, just think about Evan Almighty. We'll come up to the slides if you remember the movie. I think it was from 2007. Anyway, going back in history for the moment, in February 1936, the Catholic Gazette, in an editorial titled The Jewish Peril and the Catholic Church, quoted a speech which it said had been made shortly beforehand at a Jewish society, that is B'nai B'rith, in Paris, as follows. One of the many triumphs of our Freemasonry is that those Gentiles who become members of our lodges should never suspect that we are using them their own jails, upon whose terraces we shall erect the throne of our universal King of the Jews, and they do not mean Jesus, and should never know that we are commanding them to forge the chains of their own servility to our future King of the world. We have induced some of our children to join the Christian body with the explicit intimation that they should work in a still more efficient way for the disintegration of the Christian Church by creating scandals within her and by preaching Judeo-Christianity, that is the doctrines of devils. Jesus was an Essene from Ireland, Cornwall, Scotland. That is the bloodline. So we have followed the advice of our Prince of the Jews, who so wisely said, "Let some of your children become canons, so that they may destroy the church." Unfortunately, not all among the convert Jews have been proved faithful to their mission. Many of them have even betrayed us. But, on the other hand, others have kept their promise and honoured their word. Thus, the council of our elders has proved successful. Freemasonry, taken over by Judaism, is the front for them. We are the fathers of all revolutions, even of those which sometimes happen to turn against us. We are the supreme masters of peace and war. We can boast of being the creators of the Reformation. Calvin was one of our children. He was of Jewish descent and was entrusted by Jewish authority and encouraged with Jewish finance to draft his scheme in the Reformation. If this is a truthful record, then the plan outlined in 1492 was being acted upon well into the 20th century. Now I want you to think for a moment. So Calvin, of Jewish descent, well, where do they get the precedent? In their Paul, the Jew, supposed to have had a conversion on the road to Damascus. No, it was an infiltration into the Essene community. Then an article published in the Sunday Herald newspaper on the 8th of the 2nd, 1920, titled, "A Struggle for the Soul of the Jewish People." Winston Churchill wrote the following: "Some people like Jews and some do not, but no thoughtful man can doubt the fact that they are beyond all question the most formidable and the most remarkable race," notice he says race, nothing to do with religion, "which has ever appeared in the world. And it may well be that this same astounding race may at the present moment be in the actual process of producing another system of morals and philosophy. It's the Jews who promote evolution. It's the Jews who promote atheism. It's the Jews who promote pornography. It's the Jews who promote the Hollywood horror, the Hollywood snuff movies, the Hollywood perversions, as they do sacrifice usually Christian children in the drinking of their blood to make them matzo balls and then release the bodies into the abattoir, so it then ends up being in the human food chain through the likes of McDonald's. This is well documented and bragged by them. So another system of morals, all right, totally immoral. These are the race that the demons have gone into. That's why John 8:44, "Ye are of your father the devil, a liar and a murderer from the beginning." These are the Jews. As malevolent as Christianity was benevolent, which if not arrested would shatter irretrievably all that Christianity has rendered possible. It would almost seem as if the gospel of Christ and the gospel of Antichrist were destined to originate among the same people, and that this mystic and mysterious race had been chosen for the supreme manifestations both of the divine and the diabolical. They were not chosen for the divine because it was the Essene community that Jesus was born into. White race from the Isles, Ireland, England, Scotland, went to Jerusalem to fulfill the prophecies of Isaiah, who was an Essene. What we are talking about here is purely the demonic realm in these bodies of filthy flesh. So in violent opposition to all this sphere of Jewish effort rise the schemes of the international Jews. The adherents of this sinister confederacy are mostly men reared up among the unhappy populations of countries where Jews are persecuted on account of their race. Most, if not all of them, have forsaken the faith of their forefathers and divorced from their minds all spiritual hopes of the next world. Now here we go with the predictive movies, noting in the case of the Oroville Dam spillover. In the movie, Evan was depicted as mentally ill, but he was right. He just didn't know it was a dam breaking that was going to flood the valley where they were all living in their lovely homes. Evan Almighty, released June 22nd. 2007, I believe it was. Now, Lucifer has devoured the entire world, and religion is its greatest defence against Christ. We shall forbid Christ. Protocol number 14 is so pathetic a thought. The arrogance of the Jews defies logic. They believe they, a group of Satanists, can actually stop God in the flesh from coming to destroy them. Like maggots on a rotting carcass, they gather in dark, rotting flesh, believing they are able to outsmart God. The root of all evil is money. Christians like to put in there the love of money. No, it's money. The world, the pit of hell, is owned by the Rothschilds, identified by my birth home, this is Yah's birth home, at 105 Rothschild Avenue, Rosebery, Sydney, Australia, identifying the ruler of hell. So what have we got behind Pizzagate? Well, it's Zionism, Judaism. They believe the little children's innocent blood boosts their life. Is it not so? Jesus said to not prevent the children to come to him. Yet in the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, protocol number 14 states, useless changes of forms of government to which we instigated the Goyim when we were undermining their state structures will have so wearied the people by that time that they will prefer to suffer anything under us rather than run the risk of enduring again all the agitations and miseries they have gone through. In brackets there, this religion of Moses, the so-called oral Torah or Babylonian Talmud, is the antithesis of Moses and the prophets. We shall forbid Christ. That is the focus of everything happening upon the earth now, because they, more than anybody else, are completely aware that the Christ is on the earth. He has been identified by Pope Benedict XVI, who chopped the head off the snake as soon as he made the announcement. He has released the apostolic letter, called in Christum Credent, for the benefit of the world to know who the Christ is. Yahweh-Jesus, Brian Leonard, Golightly-Marshall, the most royal man on the earth. So how many nations have the Jews been kicked out of? Well, 109 and counting. Now, it's only in the era of the internet truth has surfaced. But even then, if one speaks out, oh, it's a conspiracy. And if the truth is too potent to be ignored, and if anyone gets too close, there is the old standby, assassination, as was seen in the murders of JFK or Bill Cooper. Watching the movie Chinatown, it's a classic water theft for profit by the elite. For what purpose? They had all the money in the world, however, the one line, to own the future